everyone. This is MS Abbasi and I welcome all of you on my YouTube channel MS Tech, a learning platform for all the learning aspirants. In this part of video, we will going to talk about how to enable and disable test cases in TestNg. Like in our earlier videos, we had gone through how to create test cases in TestNg from scratch, how to define priorities in our test cases. Now we will see how we can enable and disable our test cases during execution in TestNg. So now let's get started with the video. So first, I'm going to create a new class and I will mark it as enable. So for example, if I have multiple test cases in my one TestNg class and I want to execute some of them and I want to leave some of them. So deleting the code or commenting the test cases is not the best approach. Instead, we can use one attributes of TestNg. This is what we call enable, through which we can only enable those test cases which we want to execute. So first, let me write a couple of test cases. I'm going to write I'm writing first test case. Similarly, I'm going to define my second test case. And then another one. Let's see. So these are my three test cases available here. If I don't define anything, if I'm not using any attribute, and if I execute this class, you see all of these three test cases will get executed. Now, I have all of my three test cases executed. But my requirement says, for example, I want to execute just this one and this one. I don't want to execute the second test case. So how we can enable remaining two test case and disable one of them? For this, we will going to use one attribute of TestNg called enable. So I'm going to write enable. It says false because by default, every single test case has enabled set to true. That's why we are able to execute all of them. But the moment I make any one false, it means that test case will not be a part of execution. So for example, my requirement says I want to execute the first test case, so I will make it true. But I don't want to execute the second test case here, so I'm gonna make it false. And then the third one again, I'm going to write to make it true. This time when I execute my test cases, out of these three, only two will be executed. Now let me execute this one. So now you see, because I mentioned enable is equals to true for first test case, so it says the output from my first test case. And it gives the output of my third test case as well. But there is no output for this second one because this second test case is not a part of my execution anymore. The moment I make it false, it will not be a part of my execution. In our practical scenario, if we see where we generally use this type of attributes, for example, if you are working in your automation script where you are going to check some specific functionality, but you have multiple test cases in your TestNg class. In that case, if you don't want to execute all of them and your area of focus is very specific and limited, you can use this attribute to disable some of the test cases for time being and can go ahead with the remaining test cases which you want to execute. That's how we can use this enable and disable attribute in our TestNg in our real-time projects. Thank you so much for watching this video. And if you really like this video, please click like, hit and subscribe my YouTube channel.